I'm curious about why they're called rock cakes, because they're cookies to me, unless they're supposed to be cooked in a different, I keep saying cooked, I mean baked, unless they're supposed to be baked in a different manner. But they look like cookies and not cakes. I wonder if all the little pieces inside, all of the dried fruits and nuts, are supposed to be the rocks, or if they're supposed to be very hard, and that's what makes them rock cookies. But either way, let's try them. Welcome back, everyone. It is now the 51st week of the 52 Sunday Dinners project. Here's what's on the menu today. We'll start with chicken baked in brown gravy. Then we're moving on to mashed sweet potatoes, creamed canned string beans, carrot sweet pickles, homemade apple jelly, stuffed egg salad with cheese sticks. We already made these cheese sticks. They were called cheese straws when I was at Nani's house, so we're not making those again today. But we will be having the grape juice sherbet, the rock cakes, and we're having coffee. If you've been here before, you know exactly what we're doing. If this is your first time, hi, welcome. My name is Ashley. I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm combining two giant loves of my life, food and vintage, to bring you the 52 Sunday Dinners project. We are working out of this cookbook here. This is the 52 Sunday Dinners cookbook from Women's World magazine in 1924. We started this project in August, so we started at the 31st Sunday dinner. So if you decide to go back and watch all of the previous dinners, just remember that we don't start at week 1. We start from week 31 and we go on from there. This project will wrap up at the end of July in 2024. Now, when I started this project, I had, let's say, fewer skills than I do right now. And it's only been a few weeks, but the whole point of this project was twofold. The first being that we are building a community of people that remember these recipes and that want to bond over them. So I think we're starting to accomplish that, and we're starting to make some real community and global friendships so far. At least I have. I hope the rest of you are, meeting each other in the comments and forming bonds there as well. Obviously, I think the first goal is being accomplished. And the second goal is more for people with skills of my range. As technology and life has sort of taken off, those self-sufficient skills of cooking for ourselves, of gardening, of just any of those skills that sustain life for us really seem to have gone by the wayside. Things that are more convenient and that can be, hired out to someone else have left us without the confidence in the ability to do things like this for ourselves. And oftentimes when we do attempt to do something, there are a lot of critical voices in there, and it can be really scary to just try it when we don't know what we're doing. And so as you watch this, you'll see I am no professional. I am pretty much an amateur at everything within the kitchen, and oftentimes my brain is going a million miles an hour on all sorts of different things, and it's colliding, and I am just a disaster in everything that I do. And I hope that as you watch this, if you are in the same situation as me and you are a hurricane in the kitchen, that you'll look at this and think, you know what? If I fail, I fail. It's okay. Let's just try it. Let's just learn. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, that's not me. I already have all these skills. I know what I'm doing. Fantastic. Watch what I'm doing. Go down in the comments and give me pointers and suggestions, because you're not just helping me, although many of you have helped me tremendously from just a couple months ago to where I am now. I feel so much more confident, and I feel like I have gained more skills from what you have taught me than I could have learned going through reading all of the books and watching all of the other videos and taking classes. just taking those little specific hints that you've given me, I'm a world advanced compared to what I was before. But what I really hope that you're leaving those comments for are the other people with my skill level watching. So if you are watching and you don't know what you're doing, look through the comments. Hopefully, you'll take some hints, you'll start to learn, and start sharing those with us. Having heard all of that, if you'd like to continue on, see what we're doing, and see how it turns out, come and join me in the kitchen and we'll get started on this menu. You know I don't want to wait to try these cookies until dinner because they're still slightly warm and out of the oven. So I have some that I cooked a little bit longer and some that we baked a little bit less. So we'll try each one. Here's the one that's a little more done. I don't like my cookies all the way done. I prefer them less done like this, but even fully done, this is pretty darn good. And when I think about dried fruit in my cookies, I kind of think about fruitcake, which is appropriate for this season here in America. And fruitcake is notoriously frowned upon. It has a very, I guess, bad reputation here. There's even there's all sorts of jokes and songs about it. But it's really good. Let's try it even less done. This is a good cookie. This is not one that you see here very often, or at least within the circles that I am in. It's not a popular cookie, but it's one that's definitely worth making. And if you like them less done, I did mine at 325, and I think these less done ones maybe about 10 minutes. The 15 to 20, no way I could have done 20 minutes with these cookies. They would have been burnt to a crisp. I thought that I was recording making this mayo the whole time. I used the tactics that several of you have advised me to use. I did the immersion blender and it turned out beautifully, I think. However, I did not hit the record button. I thought that I was turning the recording off, and that's when I actually started recording, was after this has been made. So unfortunately there's no footage of it being made, but thank you so much, Haley, for sending me those recipes. I'll put the recipe up so you can see exactly what I did. I didn't follow the directions that the recipe says to follow. I did what you guys have told me to do. I put everything in this wide mouth jar here, everything except the oil first. I put all the other ingredients in, then I poured the oil into this wide mouth jar, and I put the immersion blender in and just started blending. And once the oil at the top stopped going down, I just kind of lifted a little bit until all of it was incorporated. We're going to try this now. It's been a while, I think, since we've had mayonnaise in recipes, and so if you guys are newer and you haven't seen maybe the first month of recipes, I hate mayonnaise, but I've never made it myself. We tried a few recipes so far, but none that really were mayonnaise. This looks just like mayonnaise to me. It smells just like mayonnaise. I think I was surprised. I don't know if mayonnaise normally uses olive oil, so I was a little surprised to see olive oil in here. But I want to give this a try, see what I think, see if I think it's any better than regular mayonnaise. I have high hopes. All of you had said that homemade mayonnaise is on a completely different level than store-bought mayonnaise, so let's try this. Wish me luck. I'm sorry. I still don't love it. I don't think I dislike it as much as store-bought mayonnaise, but I definitely don't love it yet. Maybe this isn't the recipe. I'll try a few more. Maybe there's a better recipe out there for my flavor profile. I think if you like mayonnaise, you will love this, but so far, this isn't my favorite one yet. Haley, you sent me many more recipes, and Ben sent me several as well. So I have a lot of others to try out. So far, this one, I think this is number 2 or 3 that we've tried. It's not the winner yet. gentlemen, it is time to eat. We don't have a starter for this meal. It starts, at least as far as the menu goes, it starts with the chicken. And taking a look at the chicken, I have to say I must have done something wrong here. I assume probably I was supposed to take the chicken out of the pan, make the gravy maybe in the pan and then put the chicken back in, or make the gravy separately in another pan and then put it back over top of the chicken. However, the way I read it was pour it right in there, mix it all together, and then cook it in with the chicken. That it doesn't look right. It looks terrible. It smells delicious. I'm hoping it tastes a little closer to how it smells than how it looks, but let's find out. The two legs that were on top got browned. Everything else underneath, there is definitely no browning on it, but it does look exceptionally juicy. Now with this, I assume we're supposed to be eating all of the other sides. So the sweet potatoes, the green beans, the carrots, and the apple jelly. I don't know if the apple jelly is supposed to go with the chicken. That's what would make the most sense to me. So I'm going to try it with the apple jelly. And the apple jelly, I did not show it being made on camera because I made this a little while back and I did not record making it, but this is apple jelly that I made here from apples that we collected from the farm. There is a lot of orange on this plate. We have a little bit of green. The apple jelly is a brown, red, orange color. We have our carrots, our sweet potatoes. It's a pretty colorful plate for this day and age. Now let's try this chicken first. And I kind of want to go where I have a nice brown, crispy skin because I think that is going to be our best bet. It is most certainly done inside, without question. We'll try it first without the jelly and then with. It smells really good. You can definitely tell that there were onions baked with this. It's also very hot. The flavor of this is much closer to the smell than it is the sight of it. This is packed with flavor. Where the skin is crispy, it's both crispy on the outside but juicy on the inside. I imagine I'm gonna take some in an area where the skin was not crispy and see if I still like that. So this is more of the soggy kind of skin where it was under the liquid the whole time, but let's try it with this jelly. The apple and the chicken together smell really great. They complement each other very well. Yes, I do believe that apple was to be served with this chicken because they go together very nicely. Let's try it with the crispy skin too. For as ugly as this chicken is, the recipe is a win. I feel like we've already had mashed sweet potatoes before in one of our previous menus, but I'm not sure. Sweet potatoes just smell so good. This recipe is delicious. It's nice and starchy and smooth, and it's not too sweet. Sometimes I think with sweet potatoes, the idea of the sweetness, people put too much sugar or maple syrup, or they add a little too much to bring out the sweetness of sweet potatoes. And this really hasn't. There is a little bit of sweetness to it, but it's not overwhelming, which I think is probably important because we have sweet apple jelly with this chicken, sweet potatoes, and you know that these carrots are going to be very sweet. We have the sherbet coming up, and we have the cookies. So letting this not be too sweet, I think is really the right call for this recipe. Let's see the carrots. Now, they're kind of pitiful looking, these little baby carrots, after they have cooked in all of that syrup and sat in all that syrup. They're a little bit wrinkled and sad, but let's try them and see if they taste a little better than they look. Maybe they'll go along the same lines as the chicken here. Maybe it'll taste much better than it looks. You can smell all the spices. It's a very interesting smell. You smell the carrot, but you also smell the vinegar and the cloves. I can't say I like this smell too much, but if you're somebody who likes the smell of cloves, you might like this. Oh, wow. That is strong. It's a very interesting texture. It's firm, but mushy. It's soft and you chew through it very easily, but at the same time, there's a firmness and a bite to it. The texture I like, but the flavor is a little bit too much for me, at least on its own. Maybe these were supposed to just be a little compliment and you're supposed to have little slices or bites with the chicken, but on their own, the flavor punch of that it's kicking. That clove with that vinegar is, I think I said something similar about, I don't know what we made last week, the chili sauce. I think I said it kicked you right in the mouth. This does the same thing, except not quite in the same pleasant way that chili sauce did, at least for me. If you try this and love this, let me know. I really hope that maybe it's just a me thing. This recipe doesn't seem like it's bad or wrong. I think it just seems like maybe it's a preference for somebody else. Let's try the green beans. Again, these green beans smell wonderful. They smell just like green beans, and if you like the smell of green beans, they smell great. I am throwing them all over the place. I don't think there's anything profound or surprising about them. They taste just like green beans with a cream sauce over them, but it is a very nice departure from the sweetness as we discussed before. They taste good. They complement this very well. The green breaking up some of that orange is a nice thing to look at. The flavor that's a little less sweet or a little, it's not bland. It just isn't punching you like some of these other flavors. I think this is wonderful for this plate. I love these eggs. Now, you may or may not have noticed that this is actually supposed to be sitting on a bed of lettuce, and I think that would make it look even cuter. And of course, if you've been here before, you know sometimes I forget to fully look through a recipe before I start it, or I kind of forget about what the recipe called for. So I had tons of lettuce left over from last week's to use for this week's. And when I looked through all the recipes, I looked them over and said, oh, we don't need lettuce. I'll just make some salads this week and use up the rest of this lettuce. And I did. And now we don't have any lettuce in the house. So these are not sitting on a bed of lettuce like they should. However, they are adorable. And of course, many of you are probably thinking the same thing that I am, that they are very reminiscent of a deviled egg. And I don't know when deviled eggs originated, if they were before this, after this, if this was the start of them, or if maybe they came first and this is a secondary departure from them. But this is really cute, and it's like getting a deviled egg, but getting one that's 1.5 times the size of a deviled egg, and you really can't go wrong there. So let's give one of these a try. We're gonna go with this nice honker of one right on the edge. Get all that in there. And if I didn't say it already, we are using the mayonnaise that we got from Haley, who sent us some of the recipes from her Fanny Farmer cookbook. Now, I didn't love that mayonnaise on its own, and I started to think about it afterward. It had a little bit of a bitter aftertaste. There was just a bitterness that hit you after it hit your tongue. And I'm thinking that was probably the olive oil. Because we whipped up that olive oil like that, I think it brought out some of the bitterness in it. And I'm thinking that is possibly why. If I had used some type of oil that was a little less flavorful, a little more bland, I think maybe I would have liked this a little bit more. But let's try it here in these stuffed eggs. I definitely smell the mayonnaise primarily. I feel like I smell a little bit of egg. I don't smell the celery or the ham. I primarily smell that olive oil in the mayonnaise. This is good. I like this. I like the textures. I like the ham and the celery added to it. It gives it a little more bite and crunch. What I wish this had, because it tastes very heavy. I wish this had maybe a little bit either extra vinegar or maybe some horseradish or something to brighten it and lift up that heaviness of this mayo with the egg yolk. Otherwise, this is delicious and just so much fun. Now we've already tried the rock cakes, so you know what I think of those. And last but not least is our grape juice sherbet. I think it's really cute now, and in the 20s, I bet this would have been just such a treat to look at and to try. I really don't have any expectations for how this is going to taste. I assume maybe a little bit tart with all of that lemon juice that we added in there. And I thought orange juice was a surprising addition for grape, but let's see how it all came together. I overwhelmingly smell the grape. I don't smell any of the orange, and I don't think I smell the lemon. I think the grape smell really takes center stage here. Well, I can taste the lemon. I taste the grape primarily, but there is just a pucker that is closing my eye here that lets me know that the lemon is definitely in here. It's sweet, but not cloyingly sweet. The texture is really fun. There's a smoothness sort of in there somewhere, like a syrupy smoothness, probably from the simple syrup. But the flakes of all of the ice, which I know is supposed to probably be undesirable, the flakes of the ice are really nice and fun for me. The flakes of the ice remind me of when you have those plastic push-up popsicles when you were a kid, the kind that would cut the corners of your mouth when you would pull them. That's what the texture of this reminds me of. This is fun and great now. I imagine 100 years ago, this would have been super exciting, and what a way to end a meal. It surprises me that this is the way they would end a meal in December. This strikes me more as an late August, mid-July kind of flavor and choice with the iciness, but man, what a surprise in the middle of December in 1924. The flavor of this it's not overwhelming. It's really good, but it is powerful. And so I have a little glass here, which doesn't seem like a humongous serving in today's standards of ice cream or some type of dessert. However, I think what I ate here, maybe a couple more spoonfuls, would be sufficient for the evening. Just to finish it off with a few bites, I think that would be great. So if they could keep this cold, I think that would be enough for probably the entire week for all 6 people to get through. I don't know if they had the ability, or as I'm saying that now, and I just said, I think this would be better as a July or August treat. Thinking about the fact that maybe they didn't have reliable cooling and refrigeration, and it would be December. It probably would have been cold in many areas of the country. Maybe that was the whole point of this. Maybe they made it because once it was done and you had tons of it left over, you could put it outside and it would remain cold for the rest of the week to eat off of. Overall, I think this menu was a win. I would bring this grape juice sherbet back any day of the week. I think we should make or start making this again. Add that to the sleeper recipes that have kind of fallen by the wayside. The chicken, if I would have made it the way that I think it was probably supposed to be made, I think would have been another huge win. I think a lot of these flavors complemented each other very well. I think that the color variation in this meal was excellent. Nutrition-wise, I think this meal was another win. We start off with a lean protein in that chicken, or relatively lean. We left the skin on and we didn't drain off any of the fat, although if I had done it the way I was supposed to, maybe I was supposed to drain that fat a little bit and it would have been a little more lean. We then move on to several different vegetables. We have our carrots, green beans, and sweet potatoes. So a nice variation of color and nutrients there. All of those were cooked. So I would have probably liked to see a little bit of a raw vegetable within this menu, but if we're thinking about seasonality and the ability to move things around the country at that time, there probably isn't much left as far as fresh produce goes. Something I think I would have liked to see is a little bit more fruit. Now, we did have fruit within the apple jelly. We also had fruit, all sorts of different fruit, actually 3 separate fruit juices in the sherbet, and we had lots of dried fruit in the cookies. But you know what I mean when I say I think I would like to have seen a little more fresh fruit, a little more of those nutrients gained from the fruit. The eggs were also another excellent source of protein in there, and adding that ham, or we could have added tongue, another great addition of protein into that salad course. Now, I don't particularly think of stuffed eggs as a salad course, and maybe we skipped over it this time and that wasn't meant to be the salad, but if that was the salad, it's the least vegetable rich part of the entire meal, except for the dessert, was the salad course. As far as cost goes on this meal, the most expensive part for us was the chicken. And I think normally the protein is the most expensive part of most meals. However, if we would have purchased our dried fruit, that would have been overwhelmingly the most expensive portion of this meal. I could not find any of those dried fruits in my area, and I went online to see if I could find some of them in hopes that they would be delivered in time. Let me tell you what, I don't know about your area, and sometimes I think I am insulated from inflation costs of food a little bit, except I'm getting a big dose of reality when it comes to these meals because I can't just shop around for whatever is on sale at some of these discount stores and go with what's exactly in season and available around my area. Searching for some of these ingredients has really opened my eyes, but tell me how much those dried fruit, those 8-ounce containers of candied fruit are in your area if you can find them. Please hunt them down while you guys are grocery shopping. Tell me what your grocery stores are charging for them and what area of the world you're in. Because online, I went to Amazon and found an 8-ounce container, and I needed a couple cups of this stuff. So I would have needed a few of these. And I think it was on sale for $28 or something for that little container. $28. Have they lost their minds? Thankfully, I did not have to order it. We decided to try our hand at making candied fruit ourselves. And while I don't think it was the most beautiful and most successful attempt at making candied fruit, I don't think we did too bad of a job. I had a leftover orange sitting here. I had the pineapple already. I think I probably paid $1.40 for that can of pineapple. The electricity I used to dry it in my dehydrator was probably the most expensive part of this entire process. And maybe I paid $3 or $4 total for it. Overall, with everything else in this menu, I think it probably cost us maybe $80 to $90. If we would have had to buy all that dried fruit at the cost of what it would have taken to order online, and maybe it would be different in your area, but we're looking at closer to $150. When we talk about how important some of these skills are to learn and how my generation is really hungry to learn some of these things, look at how much it benefited us just to try that out. It saved us $30 to $60 for one meal just to be able to make that attempt ourselves. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel so you get to continue to see what we make each week. Next week is going to be a doozy. It is a giant menu of things, and it specifies that it is a red and green menu. Tune in next week to find out what that even means. Gorgeous.
I mean, I never bought a cake. I always bake them and bake them from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Did you see these?
Yeah.
This is from Women's World magazine.
Yeah. Oh, so you're going to try and...
Someday I might, but I thought you'd be interested in looking at those.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if you're going to try sending a letter to them.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same Women's
Well, you
World
could
magazine.
ask them, and maybe they could give you some follow-up if they aren't.
Oh, look, this one used to be 10 cents.
What is it?
The price tag on this book,
Oh,
on this,
how much was it?
10 cents.
Oh, my.
Can you see the price tag up in there?
Yeah.